So much about osteoporosis is wrapped up in fear. We don't want you to make life decisions based in fear. I have my friend, Dr. Denise Shostek, with me to discuss overcoming the fear of osteoporosis. And with so many of my viewers choosing to do telemedicine with Dr. Shostek, we'll find out what it's like to work with her remotely via telemedicine and how much it costs. It really is a bargain. Hey everyone, I have Dr. Denise Shostek back with us to talk about another topic regarding osteoporosis. Hi, Dr. Denise. How are you doing today?
It's good to be back, Lori. Thank you.
Good. All right. So today, what we want to talk about is regarding fear. And we want to talk about what it's really like to work with you, because since we started talking about you and your website and what you can do for patients through telemedicine, you've been helping a lot of my viewers. And you told me yesterday, we were talking about how many people reach out. You've got a regular number of my viewers reaching out to you monthly now and scheduling a free consultation, which is a 15 to 20 minute phone call, and then working with you through telemedicine. And to me, it's really affordable. But let's start by talking about what we go through when we have that first DEXA scan that says we're in osteoporosis. And now our doctor, like in my case, I got a call from a very nervous nurse who she might as well have been telling me I was dying, and to schedule the appointment with the doctor. And I had to keep myself from laughing because I was almost ready for this, but most people aren't. And what comes out of the doctor's mouth and how we feel and how we react to that.
You bring up a good point, Lori. A lot of times when people call me, they're in panic mode. People use words like, I'm terrified, or I don't know what to do. I don't know where to turn. I've had some people just burst out in tears, and they're so afraid because their mom ended up in a wheelchair with multiple fractures. And yes, those things can happen, but we have to remember fear is very powerful, and fear can motivate people to do things that you could actually regret later. Sometimes we don't think clearly when that emotion is running wild in our head.
And health is one of those things where we've trusted doctors probably too much. Now, I was figuring this out like 25 years ago when I started changing my diet and my health. So I was ready for a lot of that because I was meeting so many MDs and DOs and, of course, DCs, doctors of chiropractic, who were into natural health, and MDs who were wanting people to get well through food and through supplements and exercise and rest and fresh air, and only using drugs and surgeries as a last resort. Let's go into what it is when the doctors are using fear on their patients about falling, about breaking a bone, about, winding up in a wheelchair. What they're really wanting the patient to do is to take one of the bone drugs.
Well, let me back up a little bit, Lori. And here's what I found out about some of your viewers. These are women, typically women. I've had a couple men, but typically women who've gone through the childbearing years, have raised their kids. Now they have grandchildren. They haven't been to the doctor in years. Maybe they didn't even need to go to the doctor for menopause. Or maybe it was menopause that got them there, and now they have their first DEXA. So a lot of these people I'm meeting, literally a woman sat in my office, and she had not been to a doctor in 15 or 20 years. And she was almost trembling, and she said, you're the first doctor I've seen in this amount of time. And so what happens is, because they haven't seen a doctor in that long, they're worried about some lurking problem. And I don't think that a doctor necessarily wants to fear a person into taking these drugs, but that's all they have to offer right now. Some shots and some drugs. Or they tell people, oh, just go on out and buy some stuff. I don't even give them direction as to what to buy. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the backdrop of this whole thing, but that fear can certainly motivate people, to make decisions that might not benefit them.
Right. And we've certainly heard from people who did start taking one of the bone drugs and now regret it, whether it's the pill or one of the injections. And of course, I talked to my dentist, and my dentist said the injectables lead to necrosis of the jaw. And dentists have known this for over 20 years, he told me. So dentists who actually go to training, and read their journals. So, of course, every few years, the pharmaceutical companies come up with a new injectable or a new bone drug. So the dentists have to be filled in on what is really going on and what really hurts that jawbone. In fact, somebody wrote a comment that I read yesterday on one of my videos saying she knows someone who had to have their jaw redone. I didn't even know that was possible, but apparently whatever was going on with her jaw, or how bad it was, or it wasn't too bad, she was able to have something done. But who wants to go through that? That's terrible. So then the other thing that people can get feared into is joining some kind of osteoporosis program that's quite expensive. So tell me about those that you know of so far.
I was real surprised when I found out about these. There are programs out there that are a couple months long, a year long. And one of my patients told me that she spent $3,000 to join one of these programs. And I asked her, well, gosh, what do you get for that?
Mhm.
And lo and behold, I find out that she's getting some of the same blood tests that we can order that their insurance pays for.
Oh,
Or some of the other tests that I offer, and I offer them at cost. And I just thought, wow, it's almost like people are making a business of this. Uh,
Did
so
she say for the 3,000 how many months that's for?
he did not. I think from what she said, because we had multiple conversations, that it was at least a 6-month program.
Okay. So if it's a 6 month program, we're talking about if she was in it for a year, that would be $6,000 a year. So I found some that are around 1,000, and I found some that are $10,000 for a year. And you're right, they do offer blood work, but we don't know, number one, if it's the same blood work for every single patient. Certainly, the patient is paying for the blood work to be done because it's grouped into the fee they're paying. Where you're saying when you work with patients, some are on Medicare, some are on Medicaid, others have an employer based healthcare, maybe with Blue Cross Blue Shield or one of the other major plans, and you can tell them what blood work needs to be done, and then they can go get it done and have it under their own insurance and then get the results and come back to you.
Right. Same thing with
Right.
the scans, same thing with x-rays, all those tests. Most people that come to me already have an insurance plan. And these tests, for the most part, are covered by that. Yes, I do some unique tests that are out of network, but not to the tune of 3,000 or
Right.
1,000.
Yes. Okay. So checking my little notes here that I have. So what I want to know is to get an idea of what it's like to work with you. Do you have a couple stories that you can tell us without naming or identifying the patient, of course, but give us an idea of
So I never
something you
know.
think people would want to hear about?
Right. I never know when I start off with someone what is causing osteoporosis. And so my goal with them is to pull together their intake forms, the blood work, the DEXA, the x-rays, MRI, CT, whatever you've got. I pull it all together and I have your story in front of me. And then I proceed to do an intake. And in that intake, I'm not just going to be asking about surgeries and this and that and the other thing. Like, for instance, the other day I found out there was a patient, she was literally on prednisone for about 10 years. Well, we know what steroids do to the bones.
Mm.
And, I've had other patients, I think we mentioned this in another video, and I, I almost don't even know how I figured this out, but we had a patient who likes to take care of cats, and she had multiple cats. And I said, why don't you go ahead and get tested for Toxoplasma gondii?
And if people are just finding our videos, they might not realize you and I did a video. It has a picture of a cat on it on the thumbnail because you were already putting those pieces together. And some people wrote in the comment of that video saying, oh, I don't believe this. But some people are getting that, it's not really an illness. What do you call it?
Well, it's a
Parasite?
it's like a protozoa infection.
Okay.
It's
Yes.
an infection that goes systemic. And I couldn't figure it out because this person was only in her 50s and the osteoporosis was so bad. I sat back, and while we were talking, a little cat came in the room, and then another cat came in the room. And I thought, oh, you have some cute kids. And you've got to find out a person's lifestyle.
Right.
So this other patient.
So you had her go get the test that you talked about in the other video to see if they had that protozoa parasite, and she did.
Yep.
And that causes, having that protozoa parasite in your body causes bone loss.
Oh, yeah. Her body's been fighting an infection for years. And I don't want to just focus on one patient, but
Right.
I had another lady.
But my point is, some people watching my videos have some really complicated osteoporosis, bodily things going on. I didn't. I had quite kind of a simple situation, but a lot of people contacting you, and I want them contacting you because you're putting pieces together that other doctors haven't been able to do for them.
It takes time. That's why. Mm-hmm. This takes time, and you've got to hear about their lifestyle. Another patient just told me her brother-in-law died, then her father-in-law died, then her mother died, and then, and she had all of these stressful things in her life. And she had just like 3 years of just solid stress. And then COVID hit on top of it. Come on, we know what stress does. Mm-hmm. Stress produces cortisol. It's like having an IV drip of just a steroid of cortisol going into your body. Mm-hmm. And she ended up with osteoporosis. And I think that it's the stress.
Yes.
Diet with a lifestyle. I have another patient that told me on Saturday that she gets 3 hours of sleep a night. That is not sustainable long-term, my friends. So things like this, does your doctor really sit down and ask you about lifestyle? Are you going through these things? Even something as simple as mold exposure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is anybody asking you about something like that?
Right.
So all of these things have an additive effect.
Mm-hmm. Right. So my next major question is, what is it like to work with you? What is it like to work with Dr. Shostek? And of course, it starts with what you've offered, a free consultation by phone for 15 to 20 minutes. And I always, in these types of videos, I put a link to your contact page on your website in the description box. So everybody, you can open the description box below on a phone or tablet. You have to tap the word more twice to open it up, scroll down, and you'll find the link. On a computer, it's easier to find. And I'll also put the link in the first comment below. So I want people filling it out. And in that, you put your name, your email address, your phone number, and then there's a block for just typing a free form message if you want. And then Dr. Shostek will get back to you and schedule that 15-minute call. The thing is, I want you to contact her and see if working together would work well. So, but here's the thing. So what is supposed to happen in that free 15-minute, 20-minute consultation?
People will call and they'll tell me a little bit about themselves. They'll tell me if they have osteoporosis, osteopenia, or any other conditions with it. And then I'll talk to them about what my consultation looks like. I talk about insurance, what insurances I take. I take Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO. I take Aetna PPO. I don't take Medicare. I don't take Medicaid. And then I talk about cost around that. I talk about how much time you need to allot for that intake. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours. I want people to understand that this isn't just some off the cuff, go take some Garden of Life Grow Bone System and all your problems are solved. It's not like that. So sometimes people will want to talk about, can I send you my blood work now? Can I send you my DEXA? No, I need written consent that I can talk to you about your health and treat you. Right. So we talk about written consent. So,
so when you talk about the intake, that means they actually do want to work with you for the fee, right? And by the intake, you mean you're going to send them forms that they have to fill out on their own. So they should plan on an hour and a half to 2 hours to fill that out, right?
No, you fill it
No?
out in advance. And the hour and a half to 2 hours is my looking at the form, looking at their
Oh,
blood.
your time. Okay.
Yeah.
So how much time should they plan? They don't have to plan your time, but they have to plan their time. So how much time will it maybe take them to fill out the intake form?
Probably 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not very long. Okay. Then they send it back. You do some research. You have to put it all together and you spend time on that before you schedule the Zoom call with them. Right? Okay. So what mistake do people tend to make on the free 15 to 20-minute consultation call?
Most people think that 15-minute free consultation is a time when they can just dump all this information and that I'm going to treat them over the phone. It just doesn't work that way, folks.
Right. It's just a consult to see if you can help them and if they want to move forward with that.
And you know
And
what?
yeah,
People need to figure out who can they trust? Who do they like talking to? Maybe there's some people that might not be real comfortable with me. They might be more comfortable with a man, or they might be more comfortable with someone younger. So that's part of the mix as well, to see if there's a good fit.
yeah,
And have the conversation.
yeah. That's what the free consult is for. And then after that, any Zoom calls are really telemedicine. They're telemedicine appointments between doctor and patient. Correct. Okay. So if they decide on that consultation, yes, they want to work with you, right now it costs what?
I will be charging, my rate has gone up effective October 1 to $289. The $289.
So, okay, but remember, YouTube videos are evergreen. So your rate is going to $289 on October 1st, 2023. Okay, but somebody might find this before then it's going to be a little bit less because you didn't raise it too much. But if you're finding this video and it's 2025, Dr. Shostek might have increased it again. So that's her rate as of October 21st, 2023. And for that, again, you're getting the intake forms, the patient sends them back, you spend a lot of time on them. I think it's a really low rate considering you're a doctor and you're spending all this time. And then you have the Zoom telemedicine appointment. And then you might come up with, again, there might be something that people remember after they sent you the intake form. I've had that happen before.
It's that way.
And you're putting some things together. When they send you the intake, they might be sending you blood work reports that they had done in the last, you said you go back, up to a year and a half, you'll take, whatever they had done. But you might order different blood work.
That's
right?
correct.
There might be something that was tested on that last blood work that you want to see that wasn't there. So, so you're making all these very customized decisions for them, and then you go from there. So some people, that's all they need. They need that one telemedicine visit, and you deciding, but some of them are going to need a follow-up call. Maybe they need more blood work done or another test of some sort. So now they're going to do a follow-up call, telemedicine call with you, and you're going to make further recommendations based on now what you know and what you've put together, connecting the dots. And then how much is that as of October 1st, 2023?
So if a person needs a follow-up visit, typically I do that at 6 months when I order the next DEXA, and that office visit just to follow up is $79.
Okay. As of October 1st, 2023. Always subject to change later. All right. Well, that's not much money if you put together the initial $289 plus $79, and people get something that's very customized to themselves and not just for supplements, but also for exercise. What exercises to do, what exercises not to do. For food, what food to eat, what food to avoid, all these kinds of things you're putting together based on that person and what's going on with that person, which when you compare that to what it costs to join one of these programs that's not this customized, I mean, people are saving a boatload of money by working with you, really. So I want to remind people the link to contact Dr. Shostek is in the description box. Or if you just don't know how to open up the description box, just email me or go into the first comment and you'll find the link there to make it easy for you to contact her. Make sure you check out our other videos because we have lots of other videos on other topics around osteoporosis, and I'll see you in the next video.